That's why 19253, that's exactly correct, Your Honor. That's why the legislature...
I just want to understand.
No, that's not quite correct. That's actually not quite correct. If you select original means, you get to rerun both the electronic and the paper. You get to rerun both of them. That's the difference.
I know, but you would, but it seems practically you'd have no interest in rerunning the electronic.
Well, particularly because the legislature, to make clear that you don't want to go down that road, did two things. It passed a statute that says in all cases you shall use the paper. And it shall means shall, and it says any recount, not just a manual recount. And then B2, to make it even equally more clear, that there's no practical advantage to using original means other than just sort of academically seeing what happened, is they said if you do original means and you get both numbers, the paper controls. And that means they specifically contemplate that people would do this. That if someone wants to go down this road and create two of them and they run to the judge and go, well, we want the electronic, but we didn't win the VVPAT. They didn't want to leave a court in a position where it would not know what to do. And it said if you do it by original means, that's the only purpose of B2, and you get both counts, we're hereby instructing the courts that the paper record is what's going to control. And they didn't do the voting system. They did one component of the system. They did the MVP memory stick. But keep in mind, the VVPAT is a separate component. And the VVPAT as a component was capable of doing two things. One of them is printing out a paper record. It can do it again. In other words, it then could have been compared to, so it could have been downloaded as well. Instead, they only downloaded one of the two components that could be downloaded, which is they downloaded the memory stick, but they didn't download out of the VVPAT. The other way they could have done it, because remember, it says software. Go to 355 for a second.
Let me interrupt you for 1 second. Just ask a question. I apologize for interrupting, but I just want to, while it's in my mind, I just want to clear it out in my mind. It could seem like, under your theory of what all this means, we know that the legislature passed these two sections at the same time, Senate Bill 350. So they left in original means.
Yes.
And yet no one would ever choose original means. Because if you wanted to count your absentee ballots, you would want to have a manual reading. Because you would be looking for certain things we've been discussing. You'd be looking for, well, let's say in identifying remarks, so you would always choose manual. I can't imagine why anybody would use original means for absentee ballots, because all you get is what's pumped out of the scanning device. With regard to the DRE votes, even original means manual. So the fact of the matter is, they really wrote out original means. Original means has no meaning because nobody would ever choose it. You're trying to say that.
I get the error, but there's two things to keep in mind.
Why would the legislature do that?
Well, for a couple reasons. One of them is, keep in mind, not everybody uses DREs. You're not required to use electronic. So there will be situations, and there'll be counties, where direct DRE electronic votes are not involved. There are situations where they may just take paper ballots and scan them in, like they did with the absentee ballots. There's a variety of different things. There's nothing that says that a county has to do that, and not all counties do. So there are certainly going to be recount situations where you want a machine count, and there's no DRE electronic votes involved. That's why these all say if there's a DRE, then this is what we have to do. Because 15627 is a very much more broad and general statute that's meant to oversee a variety of different recount scenarios and a variety of different methods of counting. So it deals with, electromechanical, electronic. There's a variety of different definitions in the voting system. In fact, if you go to, let's put 362 up there for a second. If you go to 362, it talks about three different kinds of ways in which you could count ballots, and electronic is only one of them. It could be a mechanical machine that just counts paper ballots. And in that circumstances, you might well want to choose original means because you'd just be choosing, putting punch cards through again or putting paper ballots through again. Electromechanical, the same thing. So 15627 is
nobody uses punch cards
I think that's correct, but they certainly use paper ballots, and people can use paper ballots. And the question is, on the paper ballots, which counties are allowed to use if they don't use DREs, 15627 needs to deal with that potentiality. However, the legislature has closed the door and ended the discussion as to what's supposed to happen with DRE electronic. What they've said is, if you're choosing original means as a practical matter, it means that you're going to have to use all the components, because that's how voting systems are defined, which means since you got to count the paper anyway, and we think that's more accurate, you can count the other, but it's just academic. It's not going to control. And what it allows this court to do is read all these statutes together in a consistent way, and I don't know of any other way that you could read them together consistently. It allows you both to implement the rule about the specific controlling over the general, because 15627 covers a lot of things other than DRE voting. And it also allows you to harmonize statutes together that were passed at the same time. Any other reading reads right out of 1953 the requirement that a full recount shall use the VVPAT. It says shall be used for any full recount. And if you anything other than that reads it right out of the statute.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor, for your time.
Now, we're getting very close to noon. You see, Mr. Greer,
We can wait till after lunch, John, to do support.
I just want you to be able to argue it all at one time rather than having to break it up with pieces.
That probably completed after lunch.
All right. All right, we'll take our lunch recess now a little bit early. How long do you think you have?
15, 20 minutes.
And Mr. Page?
That'll be about 20 minutes.
Well, it may as well wait that much. We're not going to obviously going to finish this morning. So what we'll do is we'll be in recess at this time. We'll resume the lunch.